Everyone in this industry has been told the same thing. Don't sell videos, sell outcomes. And I bet when you heard that, you probably nodded your head. You think it made sense. You probably went back to your clients. Maybe you tried to reframe the conversation a little, but deep down, you still didn't know what this phrase content systems actually meant, because nobody has told you what an outcome actually looks like for your clients. Nobody has shown you how to package an outcome. Nobody has given you a framework to walk into your next client meeting and say, here's what your business needs, and here's what I'm going to do to build the fix. But that's exactly why I'm making this video. My name's Jack. I've built content systems for brands like Ferrari, and I've helped dozens of business owners make the shift that I'm about to show you. Because I went from shooting reels for $500 a pop to building systems that businesses pay 5 to 15K for. And the only thing that changed was how I looked at the problem. So by the end of this video, you're gonna walk away with something that most agency owners won't ever understand. You will have complete clarity on what a content system actually is, how to diagnose exactly what a business needs, and then how to sell a content system without ever feeling like you're actually pitching the client. And I call this the 3D framework: diagnose, design, and deploy. And I'm gonna break it down across 6 laws. And if you want the full breakdown as a playbook you can take into your next client call, stick around because I'm dropping that at the end. All right, let's get into it. Law 1. A content package and a content system are not the same thing. Most agencies are selling packages. 10 reels a month, 2 videos a week, a recurring invoice that bills the client every single month. And typically that looks like a great business. I mean, everything is running properly. You've got consistent clients, you've got monthly income. That's the heartbeat of your business. But this is what I realized is truly happening. Your clients are paying you every month. The content goes out, it looks good. Maybe it gets a couple likes, maybe your client gets a couple followers from it. But 3 months in, they're sitting in a meeting looking at their revenue and nothing has even fucking moved. There's no new leads, there's no new clients, and nothing they can actually physically point to and say that was worth it. And so they cancel. And I know this because I've personally been through the same thing. The exact same thing has happened to me. We were working with a client who runs a restaurant, and honestly, everything was going great. We had an insanely good relationship with this guy. Until one day, he literally just turned around and said, boys, moving into the new financial year, we won't be needing you. And this got me thinking. Our content wasn't actually bad, but it did make me feel like that for a little bit. But it was because they never understood what they were buying. But the thing is, we didn't know what they were buying either. We sold them a content package. And all that means is a set of deliverables with no strategy involved. The 8 reels a month that we created for them were just to share more about what their business does, but there was no tangible outcome. Whereas a content system is completely different. So I want you to understand that this system doesn't start with how many reels are included. It doesn't start with a set retainer price that you can pitch to a client who literally just found you. And to be honest, it doesn't even start with a fucking camera. It starts with the question most agencies, business owners, and people who sell content never ask. Where is this business leaking? Because if a client is getting plenty of leads but not closing on calls, 10 reels are not going to fix that problem. Or if a client / brand that you're working with has zero awareness and nobody even knows they exist, a brand story video isn't going to fix that either. Because remember, the wrong content for the right business is still the wrong content. So a content system matches the solution to their actual problem. And that changes everything about your current approach. And this will also change what you build, but then even pitch the client. And then ultimately it kind of changes what you charge them. And then ultimately, it'll change how long a client will continue to work with you. And so when a client can see exactly how your work is moving their business forward, why would they leave? And that difference alone is worth tens of thousands of dollars a year to your business. But currently you're leaving all of that money on the table. So now you understand what a content system is. But before you build one, you need to know where to actually start. And so that leads me on to law number 2. Every business has a leak. Your job is to find it. I used to show up to a client sales call with a pitch deck proposal explaining who I am, why I'm the right fit, all this bullshit that doesn't actually mean anything to a business owner. Like, I would be the guy who promises 10 reels, 1 YouTube video a month, maybe some Instagram stories or Instagram management, and then a dollar figure at the bottom. And I did all of this before I asked them a single question. Now let me put this into perspective. That's like a doctor walking into a consultation and handing you a prescription before you've told them what's wrong. Because every business has a growth problem, and that problem lives in one of 3 places. The first one is not enough leads. Nobody knows they exist. They have very little clients and not many people know who they are, and that is a visibility problem. The second one is they have leads but no trust. So people are finding them, they have inquiries coming in, but they're not converting at the rate they should be. This is a credibility problem. And the third one is leads and trust, but they're still not closing. And that's actually the most expensive problem of them all, because people are interested, they're booking calls with your client, but they're dropping off somewhere between curiosity and a paying client. And so what you need to do is find the leak and build the content system around that problem. And that's the whole game we're playing. And it's funny because after you understand what I just said, you will actually stop pitching your clients the same service sheet and actually diagnose the business for a tangible outcome. It's all about asking better questions to your potential clients. So some of the things that I would ask would be things like, how many leads are you getting a month and where are they coming from? Or when someone does inquire, how long does it take for them to usually book a call? Once they're on a call, what's your actual close rate? What does your competitors' content look like? And what are you doing that's different? We're in that journey from a stranger finding you to becoming a paying client. Does it feel like people are dropping off? And so by the end of that conversation, you already know exactly what they need and you can tell them straight up if you think you can help them or not. This will only happen though when you understand the problem better than they do. And when you can do that, you don't need to sell anything. And I guarantee that you will stand out from every other competitor this potential client has ever spoken to because no one takes this approach. Now, if you want the exact questions I use in the diagnostic conversation, plus the full breakdown of what to build for each leak, I'll put together a free playbook called the Bottleneck Blueprint. It's everything you need for your next sales call to diagnose the problem before you pitch a single thing. Link is in the description, go grab it now and then come back because you've found the leak, but if we don't understand what to build for the client, we will fall into the same loop of selling deliverables every single time. And that leads me on to law number 3. The fix is never the same twice. You may understand the bottleneck your client is facing, but then you prescribe them the same solution that you always prescribe. 10 reels, maybe a YouTube video, it's the same shit, different client. You can't fall back into the trap of selling a content package. Please don't do that. A real content system is built around the leak in a repeatable system for you to be able to scale. So I want to break down what the fix actually looks like for each one of these problems. If the problem is visibility, that's a top of funnel problem. And all top of funnel means is cold strangers who have never heard of the business before. These clients are invisible and not enough people know they exist. So the fix is awareness content. Short form content, Instagram and TikTok videos that stop the scroll. Even pairing that with personal brand content, face to camera videos, opinion-led videos from the founder, or even running a small ad campaign to immediately get this client in front of more eyeballs. Your job is to start bringing new customers / clients in the door, getting their business in front of cold audiences who have never heard of them before. The opportunity here is being able to strategize a full top of funnel system that runs continuously and then compounds over time. Okay, if the problem is trust, that's a middle of funnel problem. Now this means that people already know the business exists, but they aren't sold on it yet. These clients have traffic, the people are finding them, but they're not converting because cold traffic doesn't feel like enough trust to take them to the next step. And so the fix is depth content. A Meet the Founder video is amazing at this stage because people buy from people they feel like they already know. And so one 15-minute video builds more trust than 6 months of tips and tricks. Unique mechanism videos breaking down the client's exact system and why it's better than their competitors is also a great piece of content to create, or even sharing the behind the scenes fulfillment of your client. So you can give the audience enough time with the founder. And this also allows you to run through exactly what it looks like to work with them. In this phase, you can start implementing more of a long form content strategy alongside their current short form platforms. And then that could also be an upsell when your client starts getting more leads for their business. I have a client who helps barbers become the authority in their industry through their personal brand. But when someone landed on his Instagram, there was only so much trust that was built. So we built out his entire YouTube channel. We ideated 20 to 25 of these YouTube videos that are solving a tiny piece of an expensive problem that his ideal clients are facing. And so now the trust problem is solved. But if the problem is conversion, that's a bottom of funnel problem. And this means that someone is already interested in buying and just needs a final push to commit. And this is the most expensive leak because people are interested and they're booking calls with this potential client, but they're dropping off between curiosity and a paying client. And so the fix is trust assets. Client testimonial videos, a sit-down interview with the client is probably one of the most undervalued pieces of content out there right now. I want you to sit down with your client and talk about their struggles before working with you and what you were able to achieve working together. A VSL, a video sales letter, is a structured video that does the selling before a client actually gets on a call. And so in this video, you wanna highlight specific problems your clients are facing and presenting your unique solution. Case study videos that handle the most common objections you get in your sales calls, that content is gold. And a post-booking page video. This will be a video of the founder welcoming them and setting expectations before the sales call and then directing them to external sales assets. And these videos alone actually compress the sales cycle, which will reduce every single objection out there and then will increase your show rate on the sales call. The point is this. There's 3 different leaks, all solved through a content system. And if you've made it this far through the video, congratulations. You're not charging for Reels anymore. You're charging for the strategy and the content system. So now you know how to find the leak and you know the type of content that fixes each one. But if you only use one social media platform to solve the leak, you're just one algorithm change away from dying. And so that leads me on to law number 4, the 3-channel stack. This is the problem I see content agencies make even after they've nailed the diagnosis. They pick the right channel for the leak. Say it's a trust problem. So they go all in on YouTube and then they treat it like one channel that solves the whole solution. But the problem is they're 6 months in with this client and then the client's reach drops on that platform. And so the algorithm shifts and suddenly the system that was working it looks like it stopped working. So even when you found the right channel for the leak, you still need a stack underneath it. Instagram, YouTube, and Meta ads. Now these channels aren't interchangeable where you can just pick one. They each do a job that the others can't. So for example, Instagram is fast and it gets you the initial follow, but the statistic goes 360 reels is equivalent to one 20-minute YouTube video in terms of the actual trust that's been built. And so if we do some quick maths on Google's research that tells us a prospect needs around 7 hours of content across 11 different touch points on 4 different platforms before they become a paying client, Instagram alone, even Instagram that's fucking done well, posting multiple times a day, does not get you those 7 hours. And that's why the founder content and the YouTube channel we talked about for the trust leak doesn't replace Instagram, but it sits on top of it. And then ads close the loop underneath both of those platforms. And the best part about running ads is when you target people who already engaged with your content. Because everyone who watched the Instagram content but didn't convert, or everyone that watched a YouTube video but didn't book, these retargeting ads get sent directly to them. So think about it like this. Instagram, YouTube, and ads is the same as attention, trust, and conversion. So start with a channel that solves their immediate leak, get it profitable, get the client a few wins. And what I mean by that is start bringing in clients for them on that platform so you can prove that the system actually works. And then stack that next platform underneath it through a repeatable process. And therefore that process and that system compounds over time because you can consistently perform this with every new client that comes in the door. But here's the one thing. You can know exactly where the leak is. You can build the right stack to fix it, and you can still hop on the sales call and undersell the entire thing because of how you price it, which leads me on to law number 5. Your knowledge is the product, not your camera. All right, think back to the last time you quoted a client. How did you actually work out the number? You probably thought about how long the shoot would take, how many hours of editing were involved. Maybe you threw a couple extra revisions in there, and then you came up with a day rate, and then you presented it as a package price. That is not a content system price. And so there are only so many hours in a day and only so many invoices you can send before you're maxed out and you're still not making the money you want. And the reason why I'm saying this is because that was me in 2022. I was running around, I was shooting 24/7, and then I was doing it all again next week. But it got to a point where something shifted and I stopped thinking about what I could produce and I started thinking about what I could solve for these business owners. Because this is what actually shifted for me. Clients don't want videos. I actually sound like a broken record, but all they want is leads and trust. And in short, they want to close more deals and they want their business to grow. It is literally that simple. That is what every single business owner wants. And the way I started to think about it is the video, the content is just the mechanism. And you are the one that's running a marketing agency that happens to use content as its vehicle. But content alone was never the product. And the reason why I get fired up at this shit is because a shooter gets paid for what they produce. And that was me. But a strategist, a content strategist, gets paid for what they understand and the outcome that they achieve for their clients. So when you can hop on a call and say, your business has a trust problem and here's the exact system I'm gonna build to fix it, that's a conversation that doesn't sound like a fucking sales pitch like everyone else. And this literally is the shift that took me from $500 reels to charging 5 to 15K for a content system. And this is the exact bracket that you should be in when you make this shift. And that's the whole point of the 3D framework. Diagnose, design, and deploy. So you can have the right diagnosis. You can have the right stack. You can finally be pricing your knowledge instead of your time. But there is one thing that holds the whole thing together. And if it's missing, nothing I've mentioned in this video will work. Which leads me on to law number 6. The system only works if the founder is in it. This needs to be the foundation of the system, because think about every brand you trust online right now. There is a person behind it. And the fact that even PayPal, one of the biggest companies on the planet, just hired a head of content to build direct trust with consumers and humanize the brand around their CEO, because they understand that the product alone isn't enough. People need to know, like, and trust the person that's actually behind the business. But here is what most people miss. Any content agency can deliver reels, post content, manage any fucking Instagram page, but nobody else can be the founder of that business. Nobody else has their story, nobody else has their opinions, and nobody else has the decades of experience and the specific way that they see and view their industry. And that truly is the one thing that cannot be delegated. And so when you build a content system around that, that's when you become irreplaceable, because your job isn't to produce content. Your job is to make the founder the most trusted voice in their industry. And so when you can do that, you don't have clients anymore. That's when you build long-term partners through your agency. All right, so let's come back to where we started. Everyone in this industry has been told the same thing. Stop selling videos, sell outcomes. And now you know what that actually means. It means diagnosing the leak before you pick up a camera. It means implementing a system around a specific problem, not a package around what's easiest to deliver, but implementing content across a stack that compounds over time. You're building something that's so embedded in the founder that it becomes impossible to replace, and that is a content system. And again, if you want to take this into your next sales call, I've put together a free playbook called the Bottleneck Blueprint. It breaks down the exact content types to fix each leak. Top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. Everything you need to ask the right questions, identify the problem, and present the system that solves it. Make sure to go check it out. The link is in the description. Now, the last thing that I want to leave you with is this. Everything that we've talked about today, the diagnosis, the system, the founder being the face of it all, that same logic applies to you, because you are the founder. And the business owners who are winning right now aren't just building content systems for their clients, but they're building one for themselves. Because when you become the most trusted voice in your niche, clients don't need to be sold. They come to you already convinced. And that is what I teach inside Modern Consulting. And if you want to understand how to build that inbound system for your own agency, watch this video next, because now you know what to sell, but that video will show you how to get them coming to you. I'll see you there.